Markstall chips in the shot from the sharp angle. Tkachuk couldn't tuck it in under the bar. Boy, Matthew Tkachuk's getting his chances here in the first. Lundell relentless on the puck. Tkachuk again, the wraparound attempt wouldn't go. Gudas steps up, trying to hold it in, but now clear to center. Crowd trying to get the Lightning into it. The Panthers dominating right now. Lundell in after the loose puck. He's got a chance. Score!
Lower the game. It's 2-0 Panthers. That's how we start a show. What's up, everybody? It's Francisco here. Sports Goose number 163. I'm joined by my good buddies Andrew and Charles. And, yeah, guys, this episode, I have to say this. I am contractually obligated to say this in some sort of way, where this episode is sponsored by Factor 75. You know, Charles, getting back home, I was munching down a sandwich, you know? And Andrew too. Like we know, like sometimes we're in a rush just to get to try and do the show, and it's hard, man. Sometimes you want like a convenient meal to be right there, you know, sitting at your doorstep. You just pick it up, you prep it the way with just a few instructions, and then you go, right? Wouldn't that be the dream, guys? Well, the dream can be realized because Factor 75 offers that very same service to everybody. It's a subscription service. You go online, you pick how many meals you want delivered to your door. I checked it out myself. You know, they had various different options. You can get maybe 6 meals per week, or get 10 meals per week, and have it delivered straight to your doorstep. And guys, you could save 50% off your first box using our promo code. It's up there on the screen there on the live video version of the show. So yeah, just go to that. Go click on our link. We actually tweeted out the link that you can look at factor75.com, I think /sportsgoof, something like that. Just click on it. If you're watching on Twitch, there's a panel down there for you to conveniently click on there, and you can go on and have some good meals with a good deal. So there you go, guys. How's it going? How are we doing? Andrew, how are you doing, my friend? Can anybody hear me?
Well, the Panthers scored again.
Yeah, exactly. Doing good.
Well, aside from that, pretty well.
All right.
Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, I was hungry. Factor 75. I should probably get myself a subscription. Just to, I'll use our promo code and do that myself. Anyways, Charles, how's it going, my dude? How are you on your end?
I'm alive.
Good. Could you be more alive with with a nice box of from Factor 75? They're the same folks who are from HelloFresh. They deliver nice, healthy meals, and well, I don't know if you eat healthy meals, Charles.
So, I do eat healthy meals, surprisingly to a lot of people. But what happens is when you hit a certain age, you don't care to cook anymore. And with Factor 75, instead of relegating yourself to frozen mac and cheese like I had before I started the show, I didn't eat healthy today. I had a protein shake with greens powder and a milkshake from Sonic because I was kind of bogged for time. So looking home to come forth to a meal that probably only takes me 30 minutes to cook would be nice. I lived that bachelor lifestyle. It was a fun kick. And then when I came back home to where I am now, I'm just too tired. I don't care. You see all these people with their delicacies. I don't eat fast food really anymore, which is surprising even to me. I guess that means I get to live to be 45 instead of 40.
You're on a good streak right now.
Yeah, I probably had it only 3 times in 4 months, but if you get yourself some Factor 75, I think that will help you. Maybe it'll also help kind of like with your aches and pains. You have a hard time doing the duty, maybe put a little greens in your diet. I'm sure there's something in there. You have a hard time keeping your skin nice and oily. I'm sure there's some fish that can help out with getting some moisturizing in there and helping your eyes out, and then decluttering your heart of all the nastiness. Because I'm telling you now, contrary to belief and what Francisco and I have espoused, I don't really know Andrew's eating habits. Cereal is not for dinner. Sorry. But if you get yourself Factor 75, you will be.
Indeed. All right, guys. It's a sports show, everybody, but I guess we'll talk about that. Andrew did a sports thing. You went to spring training today, dude.
Yes, I did.
Which he wanted to do so badly, and then you and I kind of took the mickey out of him for it.
Well, I mean, I couldn't make it up to Orlando for sure. Not with my work and stuff like that. So I unfortunately couldn't be up there for that. But you got some good shots out there. You're in your essential backyard there up in Orlando, and your good old Rays defeated those nasty old Yankees, right?
You guys
Yes, it was a 12. What's that?
You guys get hyped up over preschool games?
Not really. I mean, I know that spring training doesn't mean shit. Nonetheless, 12-0 is still fun to see.
So I've never been to the wide world of sports complex. I know the Braves used
And
to
you
be.
probably never will.
Yeah, well, I know the Braves used to be their facility for like 15 or so years, I think, something like that. So I don't know what's out there. I have no idea. I know the bubble was played there for the NBA. That's all. Again, LeBron got his Mickey Mouse ring there.
Well, the crown and the jewel used to be the stadium formerly known as Cracker Jack Stadium, formerly known as Champion Stadium, formerly known as, I think there was one other sponsor in there somewhere. It was some athletic wear company. But now it's just called the stadium.
Okay. Alrighty.
You know, that was the crown jewel, you know, mainly because, you know, certainly because the Braves did spring training there. You know, for a hot minute, there was a minor league team there.
That's right.
So yeah, that was kind of there was the O-Rays for a few seasons.
Okay.
The Buccaneers used to do their spring training there. But I don't know if they still do.
I doubt that they do training camp there. I think they have all their facilities next to the in that area where the Yankees have their spring training and stuff like that. So
right. You know, and the reason I know about that is the Buccaneers would essentially rent out the hotel in celebration. You're kidding me.
What? What's going on, Andrew?
I feel like Andrew
Anyway,
now he gets interrupted by possible work stuff. I love it.
Yes, indeed.
So yeah, Braves were there from 97 to 2019. I'm looking at the Wikipedia article now.
Okay.
But yeah, the Pro Bowl skills competition was there from 2017 to 2020. It used to be called the the Disney Wide World of Sports until, yay for brand integration, they renamed it the ESPN Wide World of Sports starting in 2010. But yeah, the big team there was the Atlanta Braves. You know, unfortunately, money talks and bullshit walks, but I'll get to that in a second. So they have the State Farm Field House, used to be called the Milk House. It's basically it's a basketball arena. Then the Visa Athletic Center.
You guys keep talking. I gotta take a call. 1 second. Okay. Go ahead.
Tell us about the area, Andrew.
So you have this venue, which I don't remember, to be honest. It's a 70,000 square foot arena. Opened in 2008. It features 6 college-sized basketball courts, 12 volleyball courts, or 2 roller hockey rinks. So, but the big other venue is the field house.
So let me ask you, what's the actual use of this thing? Because I never even knew about its existence until the bubble. And that could be my resistance to anything all Disney or ESPN, but is there actually something of big benefit to it, or is it something they always had there in events for spring training or for something else?
Well,
like I need to know why it exists.
I be back now.
Why it exists?
Yes.
It was according to
What are we doing?
Wikipedia.
Well, we're still trying to figure out why this. I asked why the worldwide sports thing exists.
Why did Roy G. Disney make this?
So it was done to publicize Walt Disney World, fill hotel rooms, grow sponsorship revenue, and build Disney World's position as a sports destination.
Okay.
So like I said, the main for so long was the Atlanta Braves. But they still do other stuff there. They do national cheerleading championships, high school and college. They do a basketball invitational each year. The Gulf Coast League Braves used to play there. The rookie level affiliate of the Braves. But they moved with them to Northport. So yeah,
it's just there for the pomp and circumstances to make Disney.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, losing the Braves kind of took the wind out of the sails a bit, because that was the thing.
Yeah, it's probably now
Disney
at this
Channel
point
games.
Just for all these teams, especially from up north and stuff. Hey, come have your whatever tournament here, and then and then everybody gets a vacation and stuff. They come down to Orlando. It's really what they do it for now.
So they do high school and college teams practice during spring break there. The Pop Warner Super Bowl is there. A youth soccer tournament, a women's basketball tournament. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's always been kind of used year-round as a sort of youth sports destination. They have 5 softball fields, maybe 5 or 6 softball fields. They have 5 or 6 baseball stadiums. Then you have the big baseball stadium. You have a couple of soccer fields, tennis. It's basically, if a tournament wants to look cool, we'll just say, hey, let's go to Disney, kind of what Francisco was alluding to. That was really kind of what it was built for. But the big thing, like I say, was the Braves. They don't have that anymore. So that stadium pretty much just sits empty, which was amazing when going into there because it looked like it did the last time I went there, which was probably 15 years ago. And it was still being used by the Braves. So, kudos to Disney. They don't let their shit go down the tubes in terms of quality. Well,
say that to Star Wars film.
Except the theme park.
Yeah, and Ant-Man is not really getting great reviews.
I don't know why people hated that movie.
You saw it?
I saw it. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Sidebar. it was like one of the few movies that came out that made me feel like the actual enjoyment that I was getting from the Phase 1 or Phase 2 movies. Because I legitimately hated everything that was Phase 4. Your best movie on paper was the movie that did not need to be made, which was Spider-Man No Way Home. Die on that hill any day of the week. I didn't even care to see Wakanda Forever. I'll watch it eventually on Disney Plus, but it wasn't like my interest to do so. And like Multiverse of Madness was just Sam Raimi being kooky. And if you don't like Sam Raimi, brother, that ain't gonna be for you. There was other ones that came out during Phase 4 that I wasn't, too much of an attentive wise to. Oh, the Eternals, didn't care about that. But they get this movie, and I don't know what you guys want. When first off, yes, the CGI is not the best looking, but granted, nothing really is of the par when you're talking about something that's in a weird little world of shrinking down the ants and going
the
into
VFX
a
people.
small-
The VFX people were rushed. So
Oh well, surprise!
There you
Human
go.
rights issues in a Disney-based movie. Shocking. But I thought it was exceptionally fine. I don't know what people want, but what I've been churning and hoping for is something that's at least enjoyable and not silly. And Jonathan Majors is good as Kang. I think also I'm just gonna be real with you. It goes back to the Twitter entitlement sometimes where people are like, you can like a movie, you can hate a movie. But I think the problem is it was more of a Michelle Pfeiffer, Jonathan Majors film with Janet Van Dyne and then Kang versus everything else, which is fine. You've had some people say, oh, there's no character growth. You've had 5 movies of like Scott Lang being involved when you count the 2 Ant-Mans, his role in Civil War, and then Endgame. What more do you necessarily need? Hope Van Dyne wasn't really, propelled a lot with Evangeline Lilly, so I would go to that. And then Michael Douglas was just dick swaggering pirate, and I loved it every step of the way. It is a fine movie. The problem is that like we review bomb games, I think we review bomb movies. And the movies that you guys put money into that shouldn't have been seen, Spider-Man No Way Home, you kind of forget about what a decent movie is. Like, and mind you, structurally speaking, No Way Home is an 8, but I didn't get enjoyment out of it. And that's allowed your personal preference. But the way, I do not feel that movie should have dropped from having 100 million its opening weekend to straight 30 million. And this is what the problem is. This is deficit cinema, though. Because as I'm trying to watch Casablanca, want to watch Casablanca, we're never going to get the good time, boys, ever again. So that's my little hype on Ant-Man and how I think it is a fine movie, and I don't know what people want anymore. And I don't think people know what they want anymore. Flicks. I think that's what led to, you want to see bad movies, go watch Batman vs. Superman. By all means, if you want a bad superhero.
Yeah.
Or you can watch, Black Adam, which was, God, atrocious. And anybody who says they liked it just need, I had, can I do my crap on segments early? I had my paralegal pick up for me because I needed.
I saw that in the theaters. By the
Black
way.
Adam is a movie made in 1993 for 2023, or 2023 made for 1993. And The Rock, just I don't care if we're gonna lose sponsorships on this. You're not the A-listers bringing in money, man. Your acting is B level at best, and your characters don't convey stuff, and you just want to look cool, and that's fine. That's fine, but you Black Adam only works with Shazam. I'm just gonna be a nerd about it. But I tried his Zoa energy drink today because that's what my paralegal. He's like, "You want Celsius?" I'm like, "No, give me something different." And I had that. I have not had stomach pains from an energy drink since 2012, man. I'm telling you right now. And that stuff is supposed to be natural. I'm like, all right, if I didn't know if I have diverticulitis or not, this kind of verified it because it was stabbing the pains of hell. And it's not like, oh, you have the poops, kind of stabbing pains going down to your pelvis area. It's like straight up, there's 1,000 fiery knives. And it could have been the multivitamin I took. It could have been that, but it tasted like I had a caffeinated tropical, like high C or a tropical punch. Remember the big little, red hair guy?
Yeah.
And I
Hawaiian
didn't
punch,
enjoy
yeah.
it. Hawaiian punch. Yeah, that's my, it's a sports show, everybody.
Yeah.
Going from there. What doesn't give you stomach pains? Factor 75.
You know what, Charles? That is true. And, we have to talk about this 6 times. Factor 75, they truly know the needs of us, the common man, the common folks. It's all about that flexibility. And, they have all kinds of options for you. You go gluten-free, fine. They got you an option there. You want to be just vegan? Sure, go ahead. You want keto? Everybody loves keto, right? Sure. So, you can get that too. You can get something. It's perfect for gamers as well, guys. Convenience never felt so good. No hassle prepared foods. Make sure you always have something nutritious on hand when you don't have the time to think about lunch or dinner. I had to think about dinner today, guys. I had to forget about lunch. You know,
We
that's
heard
a
you
hassle.
scarfing down a sandwich that probably wasn't healthy.
I'm
3
still.
days old.
It was
probably.
it's a public chicken tender sub, so let's not, you know. But regardless, I grabbed that sandwich. I had to order it ahead of time, and I was still trying to make it appetite so I can go and get all that stuff. Andrew's dying on the side. Like
He's dying because he's not having a Factor 75 meal swap.
Indeed, Andrew, you could have waiting for you. You can prepare yourself a smoothie, a
I'll
keto
probably have some
shake.
vitamin C for you if you have a cold.
You know, you heat it up, you eat it. Chef quality meals, just 2 minutes, no prep or clean up. Right? You just toss whatever you got to do. Just put it on the plate, and then you can stay focused on what you love to do. And what we love to do is put on this show, guys. And this is a sports show.
You do sports stuff and then talk crap about the Marvel fan. Andrew, are you having like an allergy attack and we just are obligating
Possibly.
you to
You've been
die
out all day.
on scene? We don't want you to die. If you need to take 5 minutes to blow your nose, by all means, man.
Yes.
I'm
Law
all right.
school.
Alrighty.
Do you guys remember in law school when you had to go to the bathroom really badly during an exam, but you're afraid of the time
What?
constraints?
That wasn't me, dude.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I-
I'm sorry that some of us are blessed with a bladder that can hold the Pacific Ocean as like the first 10 minutes come here, and then my bladder's going. And I would have to starve myself to not eat anything like Factor 75 so I don't crap myself in the middle of the exam.
I made sure my my bodily functions were tended to before walking in.
Well, that's fantastic for you. I would have loved to have the special privileges so I could just utilize the bathroom and actually eat a lunch during every exam, but it never damn happened. Because I couldn't run that risk, man.
Yeah.
I don't think it'd either be nerves or, when you're in your 20s, you're just still trying to figure out what you're able to eat or not eat. Go from there. It's a sports show, everybody. So let's go to sports. So, Andrew, your impressions of the game for baseball. Let's go to baseball.
Oh, that's right, Andrew. You saw firsthand the pitch time clock thingy.
Well, I was actually going to mention that because I looked at the timer or the announced time, and it was 2 hours 30 minutes.
That's beautiful. If that's how long a baseball game will be these days.
Yeah.
And let me bear in mind that actually was pretty long, and I'll explain why. And I'm not saying this as a
blowout.
As a flex, or maybe I am, but the Rays scored 8 runs in 1 inning.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just, it kept going, which, don't get me wrong, I was thrilled about.
Yeah, that's baseball.
But the Rays scored 2-0-0-0-0-0-8-2. So if that 8-run inning had been something a bit more manageable or normal when it wasn't 8 runs scored, who knows? The game would have easily been under 2 hours 30 minutes.
Fantastic.
And
absolutely,
it really did not affect the game in terms of, it's going too fast. It in a way, it actually had more flow to it, and it felt better to watch.
Okay.
You were certainly more engaged. You didn't feel like you were falling asleep. You felt like, if you don't look, you're going to miss something.
Good.
And, mission accomplished.
Good.
Another mission accomplished, huge, was the ban of the shift.
Oh,
Huge.
that's right.
That was amazing.
I thought they did the
That was amazing. There were so many hits up the middle. It was fantastic.
Good. Okay.
I thought we all hated the ban of the shift.
Oh, no, I was for it.
I was initially against it, but the more I thought about it, I realized something's got to be done. Baseball's become so analytical that you need to take some of the analytics out of it. Otherwise, the game is going to turn robotic. If no one can pull the ball, then that's going to be boring. If everyone's just swinging for the fences, That's everyone's going to strike out. I'm not saying you can't tell someone not to swing for the fences, but you need to give an incentive to hit the ball on the ground or not over the fence to make the game a bit more fun.
Don't tell that
The
to
Rays.
players. All we do is go for the long ball, Andrew.
3 true outcomes.
I'm not a huge 3 true outcomes guy. I really don't like it.
Yeah, that's why the banning of the shift and, getting more line drive hitters and, guys that can put the ball in
the
play.
Rays had, in that 8th inning, they had so many bases loaded situations, which is not that common these days because you're either going to strike out or you're going to hit the ball over the fence. They had bases loaded like 3 times, a situation of bases loaded like 3 or 4 times in that inning.
I thought it was not common because you guys couldn't get on base at all last year. That's my shade. That's my shade. All right, continue.
We didn't get on base in the playoffs.
Trust me, we didn't either. I feel you.
Anyway,
but you liked it.
The game flowed a lot better, and it made the home. I know this may not make sense, but it made the home runs more exciting. If like Francisco, what's your favorite food? Name a really good food.
Arepas. That's my favorite food of all time.
Just
was it too Latino food?
How about empanada?
Why can't we hit arepas?
What did you say it was?
Arepas. Yeah, man, that's my
arepas.
favorite thing.
Okay. So what happens if you eat arepas every single day? You're going to get tired of it eventually.
No, I know. Andrew just pulled a flex because he doesn't like arepas. He's like, we're not talking about this shit, Francisco. Your new favorite thing is empanadas.
No, we can't use arepas because I can literally eat that thing every day.
His example because he had one.
I have to stop myself from making it every day because I would eat it every day. So
okay,
I can't do that. All right, just
empanadas
fantastic. Is fine. Empanadas is fine. I like empanadas.
Let me shift then. How about particular, not a genre, not even an artist, a particular single song? If you hear it too many times, eventually it's going to get boring and you're not going to like it anymore, right?
Stairway to Heaven, which does I know
sure.
Never
Okay, so I guess this is a little bit into my music listening stuff because you guys are more the music people than I am. I am woefully not a music guy, but when I do like a song, yes, I do listen to it about 1,000 times before I get tired of it. But I listen to that one song.
It's called an obsessive binge. Let's not. Yeah. We're not shaming anybody here.
Yeah, exactly.
Your sad boy music, it's okay.
Yeah, so I will do that. I mean, my favorite song of all time is "Kiss by a Rose" from Seal, and that's because it was part of Batman Forever.
Song. Yeah, we're not gonna get that right there.
Batman Forever, baby. There we go.
But my point being, getting back on topic, my point being, when home runs aren't happening as often, it makes them more special when they do happen.
Indeed. I thought it was the juice ball.
So
was causing the home run events. Looking at you, Justin Verlander.
By reducing the number of home runs, by incentivizing small ball base hits, line drive, station to station baseball, there were actually a couple of stolen base attempts in the game.
Yeah,
because the bases are large.
Yeah.
How are those Domino's pizza?
How did it like?
Are they observable on the field?
How far back were you sitting?
I was sitting in the second deck.
Okay, so how did they look like? Just from your
They looked exactly the fucking same.
I feel like Andrew's the kid who got an N64 before we all did during Christmas time because his birthday was right ahead of time, so we're just picking his brain.
Yeah. Okay, but you couldn't tell if nobody had told you that they changed. If nobody had told you that it had changed, would you have noticed?
No.
Okay. Alrighty. So it's not that big of a deal.
They make it seem like it's a big difference. 3 inches.
Those small penis men over there in baseball land. I said it. I don't give a shit.
It's not the sponsors.
But it doesn't make a visual a difference
There's so many
in the
jokes
stand.
here, and Francisco is really telling me to be good, and he knows. Is it when I talk about them, Francisco? Or
No, yeah, just
anything else?
during the actual thing when we're stopping,
Oh.
we're like, hey guys, that's in the in between. I don't think they're gonna listen to it.
All right,
Regardless,
I'm gonna tell you right now, Rob Manfred does not channel big dick energy. So this explains so much. Come at me, Rob Manfred. I really don't care. I'm sorry for interrupting you, Andrew. I had to do my
all right.
thing,
So
but I'll
baseball
be quiet now.
bags don't look from just of your
I mean-
vantage point. It's like okay, it does make a difference, but it kind of sort of doesn't visually.
Right. I mean,
Okay.
you would have to be at field level. You'd have to be like in the first few rows, if not on the field itself, to be able to see a difference. And even then, I don't think you would, because you don't have that frame of reference of what the old base looked like. It's not such a huge difference. That's like, oh shit, that's a much bigger base.
Were there any?
It,
Okay. All right. So it wasn't like like all the memes that we saw on Twitter and stuff where it was just like
no. I mean,
That's fine.
the memes are funny. Don't get me wrong, but it's not
my
gigantor.
my
base.
biggest interest. I like that you mentioned the shift. I forgot about that. But what about the pitch clock? So you talked about it, but like, did anybody violate it? Did some people get close to it? Is it kind of like in football where like they're running down? And it's like, oh, you better get it off.
Well, you can't see the pitch clock from the stands.
Oh, well, that sucks.
That's actually probably good though.
Well, maybe from the if like in regular baseball fields, you'll see it from the outfield walls. I would assume.
Yeah, the stadium. I'm just going to call it Cracker Jack Stadium because that's what it was called when I lived there. That they don't really have outdoor seating. They have how it's laid out is you've got traditional double stands going behind that wrap around from the third base side to the first base side, and then a lower deck that extends out to the foul line on the right field side. On the left field side, it's a grass berm that goes all the way to the foul pole and wraps around to left center.
Okay.
So a decent portion of the seating is just grass.
Okay.
I mean, it's not like a total high percentage of it, but
Okay.
that's kind of a unique thing about it. It makes it, the kids get to roll down the hill. They
Yeah,
can
a lot
play
of
catch. They have,
spring facilities have something like that. The one in West Palm Beach has the grass outfield, just general area. People can just sit around, bring their, picnic towels and just lay down there and whatever.
right, exactly.
Okay, so
Oh, by the way, Charles, I think I think some of the bleacher creatures made it down to the game.
Oh, well, I'm not surprised.
For those who don't know, the bleacher creatures are a staple at Yankee Stadium. It's actually not even a group, it's a full section of fans over in right field where they chant a player's name, like, just to use an example, Derek Jeter, and they say it repeatedly. What's that?
False prophet. He is
For
the
you,
false.
not for me.
He is the false prophet. The worst version of the Big 23.
He's
show.
Old Testament for me, New Testament for you. You didn't get the full result that you wanted, but sorry.
But anyway, they keep chanting it until the player acknowledges them in some way. Johnny Damon was particularly funny with how he would respond. Ironic, since he is a Boston Red Sox legend. I don't know what they were chanting though, and I don't think it. I'm not sure if it was a player or
Did
something,
any
but
significant
anyway.
Yankees play in this game, or were they all just the minor league guys?
I think the only one that I recognized was Gleyber Torres. But I can check.
Now.
I can check.
Yeah.
All right, so I got it up here. Gleyber was there, and Jose Trevino was there, the catcher.
Oh yeah.
Really also a big thing, unless you said Peraza, but Peraza's a couple of years behind before being ready. So no. The answer being no.
Alrighty.
The only real big Rays player there was Wander Franco, and the stadium announcer mispronounced it. He kept saying Wander Franco.
Wander Franco.
Well, it wasn't that bad, but he said Franco instead of Franco.
Must be.
The new guy already.
County.
Yeah.
The new guy already got a penalty for the Rays.
All right.
Joy.
Alrighty. Oh yeah.
Not the Rays. The Lightning.
That is way more than a hook. He's grabbing his pants down. Alrighty. Okay.
Well, I want to get into. I know I'm taking a while.
No.
But I want to get into my true Andrewverse section
I was
here.
going to ask about. Let's go. You prefaced it before the show.
So my rant today is why the hell are no teams doing spring training at Disney anymore? Now, I get the reason, and it's
they all love Star Wars, and they realize that they were betrayed. That's why, Andrew.
Fine.
Andrew's not even going to comment on it. He's like, no. Because Disney, Star Wars. So now,
but,
were you there for the joke earlier when we said they ruined it?
Spring training is held in Florida for a reason. It's for people to relax and for the fans to experience something new, to get out of Boston or whatever cold hellhole they come from 11 months out of a year.
Bro, do not be a Florida tour guide because you have not sold me on this. Come see people who are never going to hit the major league level because you could be in Florida.
Or like Detroit, for example. Detroit is very cold. They play their games in Lakeland. Very warm.
Continue.
But my point being, spring training is not meant to be serious, uber competitive, or anything. It's meant to be relaxing. It's meant to be a time of being loosey-goosey, having fun. For fans, it's relatively cheaper tickets, or at least it used to be.
Get close to the players.
It's meant to be. It's meant to be relaxing. That's what spring training is all about.
Yeah, I like going up to Jupiter and West Palm Beach for sure.
So, if you're a player, because you have to account for the players as well, what is a really fun thing to do if you have young children? And a lot of players have young children because let's say you retire by the age of 40 and you have a kid, say like your mid to late 30s, your kid's going to be like 5 or 10 years old. Hey, Lightning scored. Thank God. Our defense is so bad. We've given up 24 shots already.
The Panthers have been shooting a lot lately, trying to quantity over quality lately.
Yeah, that's not exactly a recipe for success in the playoffs.
Well,
you just got to fire the fucking thing on net. What's that?
Paul Maurice is our coach. Supposedly this is playoff style hockey. I have no idea.
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, in the playoffs, just fire the thing at the net and look for the greasy goal. We've had 6 shots on net in this game. 6, and we're 6 minutes into the second period. Good Lord. Anyway, back to my baseball rant. So the point of spring training is fun. If you're a player, you may have kids that are like 5, 10 years old, whatever. And that's in the tail end of your career. Majority of players are going to be, like their mid-20s. Let's call it that rough average. What is a very fun place to take children that are that age? Disney. So why? And there's back when the Braves were there, John Smoltz would go to Disney. He would play golf. He would, and there's no goal. He was offside.
Good. Go ahead, man.
Anyway, guys would have a house in Celebration. Chipper Jones had a house in Celebration. So, Adam Vinatieri had a house in Celebration. So, if spring training is meant to be fun, it's supposed to be family-friendly fun. Why not go and have your spring training at Disney so your family can have fun? And okay, let's say you're not a player and you are from one of those cold hellholes like Detroit or Boston, and I'm not calling those cities a hellhole. I'm just saying it can get very, very cold there for a long time in the winter.
I would probably say
what better place to go to than somewhere warm? That's why spring training is held in Florida and eventually in Arizona. Yeah. So if you're in Florida, what the hell is there to do in Lakeland? Nothing. There is nothing to do in Lakeland.
The tourism board of Lakeland are going to be like, what the?
What is there to do in Port St. Lucie? Nothing.
I can attest to this. And don't go to Martin County.
What the hell is that? What is there to do in? What is there to do in the? What the fuck is there in Northport? I didn't even remember what city it was in there's nothing there.
I'm okay with shitting on the Braves, so there we go. I don't even know Northport existed.
Or like what?
That's why they built the stadium.
So what is it? Vieira? Is there? No. The Nationals used to be in fucking Vieira.
Yeah.
Here, hold on. I'm pulling up.
The Marlins used to play out there in Brevard County. It was home of the Manatees out there. Then the Nationals took it over when the Marlins and the Expos did the flipperoo with Jupiter. And then the Nationals moved on to West Palm Beach. So there you go. That's the history.
Okay, so hold on. Let's look at Grapefruit League. You've got Northport. What the fuck is going on there? Nothing. Okay. Sarasota. Okay, you've got the beach. You've got something going on there. Fort Myers, that's actually a legitimate city. Lakeland,
real cities in Florida.
West Palm Beach, there you go. Houston, the Astros and the Nationals are in West Palm Beach. There's actually shit to do there.
Okay.
Fort Myers, again, nice city. Port St. Lucie. You drive through that to get to Orlando or Miami. You don't. The only reason people stop in Port St. Lucie.
So yeah.
The only reason people stop in Port St. Lucie is to go to that turnpike stop.
That's true.
I swear to God, the only time in my life, and I've lived in Florida since 2001.
They have that fancy little entrance too. It's like, welcome to Port St. Lucie with like a big giant stone thing and all that stuff.
And it's not even just the Port St. Lucie turnpike stop. It's the Fort Pierce Port St. Lucie stop. It's not even big enough to warrant its own name alone on the side.
Oh my God. Andrew's shitting on Port St. Lucie.
I gotta remember.
And the only time, I swear to God, the only time that I've actually stopped in Port St. Lucie proper since I started living here in December of 2001 was when I was going to a family member's funeral and they lived there. That is the only time I've been there. There is nothing in Port St. Lucie for now. Eventually, everyone's going to start building up, and eventually it's going to become a boom town. But for right now,
bro, they've tried.
There is nothing.
I can tell you they've tried, and it's failed.
Yankees are in Tampa. Shit ton to do there. Clearwater, lovely beaches. Bradenton, beaches. Jupiter, what's going on there? Not a lot. Port Charlotte.
Better than Port St. Lucie, I think.
Yeah, what you want to hate Jupiter?
Port Charlotte, it just got hit by a hurricane. There's nothing else going on there.
Your Orlando lobbyists are showing there. Jupiter's okay, but it's just for the rich white people.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tiger Woods lives there.
Port Charlotte, nothing going on there except hurricanes.
And drugs.
Dunedin. The most popular Dunedin is the one in Scotland. No, sorry, it's New Zealand.
I didn't even know.
See, I don't even know what country it's in because I can't remember where Dunedin is. The more popular one is in New Zealand, not in Florida. That's just out in the middle of nowhere. And then West Palm Beach. So
you're
if
saying
you're
West Palm
in,
Beach is more popular than Jupiter?
Yeah, I would say so.
Can I take you to certain areas of that Boynton Beach that you would kind of get scared of and keep in your car? Jupiter's this nice little place.
Yeah, Jupiter is very well-to-do type of place where a lot of people move to.
Is it well-to-do?
Tiger Woods lives there, dude.
But is it more No one says I'm willingly going to Jupiter for no reason.
But Jupiter's also very small.
They go to West Palm Beach. That's a city that's actually on maps.
But
if you zoom out far enough on maps,
my hometown,
and the state is,
we got Clematis and
I
City
think
Place.
there's a difference of argument of county versus.
We got Clematis and City Place,
Yeah.
and then you go across the water where the rich people live. And
Andrew's hyping the amount of like DUIs, that you get off of Clematis versus the amount of like rich white folk and celebrities that live in Jupiter that have literally proliferated there. But okay,
Jupiter
that's fine.
and Palm Beach Gardens.
Disney has, more paws in you than anything else in the corrupt government would have.
The mouse.
Disney. So okay, yeah, it's a mouse. That's fine.
So anyway, my ultimate point being, if you're a team that's in Northport, Lakeland, Port St. Lucie, Dunedin, there are other places in the state where there's a little more to do. And one of them is literally any fucking where in the Orlando metropolitan area.
Clearly they don't agree with you.
It's because those cities paid money to build a fucking stadium for there. That's how it goes.
Well, I think the teams want
money
less
talks,
distraction
bullshit
from their
walks.
players. You would think. I mean,
unfortunately, that's the name of the game now. It's who has the most money. But if we're talking, if I don't know, it just if you're in a rundown stadium. I mean, Orlando used to, Osceola County used to have 3 teams.
You support an MLB stadium that's actually run down, so minor league stuff.
I don't support the stadium. I support the team that's in the stadium. There's a big difference there.
Stadium and the ownership.
The owners can go fuck
Freddie
themselves.
sent us a message. I didn't really say, hey, Freddie.
Oh, I'm not on Twitch. Shit.
Yeah.
Hey, Freddie.
Hey. Yo, it's been a bit.
Oh, his message says Orlando sucks ass. All right, cool.
Oh, no. No, it doesn't. But still. No, I think these teams, most of their facilities are new. The Braves is a brand new place. The Red Sox is pretty much brand new. The Port Charlotte ones looks pretty nice from what I've seen for the Rays. The one in Fort Myers is also, and it was built in the late 90s, but it has a nice architectural style. It's pretty cool. The Twins have been there forever anyways. The West Palm Beach one is awesome. It's new. The Jupiter one's getting renovated. We can shit on the Mets.
Just a blip on Andrew's radar there. Oh, it's just Jupiter.
We can shit on the Mets and Port St. Lucie.
I was in that stadium earlier in the year. Remember?
Oh, that's right. That's right.
It is not good.
Okay, so the one of the Mets. That one, the Mets could probably move. the Blue Jays as well, but I think Dunedin's gonna put in money to upgrade their stuff. The Pirates are in Bradenton, and theirs is kind of weird because their baseball stadium, which they've been at forever. I think Roberto Clemente even played there. They've been in that place for like ever, but then the rest of their practice fields is like, I don't know, like a mile away or something like that, because it's that old, you know. So that's the Pirates, and then the Phillies is new as also. They're not moving anywhere. That one's brand new, relatively speaking. And then what's the other team? I don't know what the Tigers have, but I think theirs is also new. It's a new stadium as well. It's in Lakeland. And yeah, so that's and it was also the travel cost. Like the teams, they're all kind of situated. All those teams from down the coast, Clearwater, all the way to Fort Myers, and then you have really the Tigers are like the most further central because of Lakeland, and then after that, it's the other side with the Cardinals, the Marlins, the Mets, and the Nationals and the Astros, and I think Lake Worth was trying to see if they could drum up some money to build their own place and see if they can lure maybe one of those teams out in the West Coast, not in Arizona, but here in Florida to go over there. I don't know what's going on with that. So there you go. That's why.
Am I the only one who was expecting Andrew to just go and say Lake Worthless? Am I right? And just like bail. So
Well,
I just find it humorous.
Lake Worth is just a bunch of old people.
Not necessarily, but yes. I live there too.
There's
Francisco, I are well
casino
traveled to Florida.
that
I have a 2-line retort to this, and I think it's time to move on because
Okay.
I don't really care
we're at
too
52
much about
minutes.
Orlando. One, Orlando sucks. It's overrated. It's all international based that has this disparity between the poor and the rich. And then 2, we just don't want to support Disney. They need to suffer, man. They need to suffer. They got to suffer a little bit. That's all I got. That's all I care to say.
I mean, the only thing I could say as a good medium.
I don't give a shit about Disney. I want baseball.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to
Your
drive
basis is
2 hours
little-
on.
You literally gave this whole thing though, like the benefit of Disney should make you want to go to Orlando. You know, that's just like saying, listen, it's drug dealer money, but I didn't deal the drugs, so I'm gonna take that money.
And let's see, and Freddie put, and the Guardians suck right now. Okay. Let's see. I mean, the only medium that I would say is if Major League Baseball wants. God, man, Rob Manfred sucks at promoting the game. Really, I mean, you have all these special games. They have like all these preseason games out in Japan and all this other stuff. They just have a preseason spring training game, like a couple series out in Disney, you know, just to promote that. And
Actually, I got so caught up in my
ESPN
rant
carries baseball
that I
games, so-
forgot my eventual point that I was trying to get to.
Okay.
Disney should, or the Rays should do 1 or 2 series a year, a regular season at Disney. Doesn't have to be a lot, and I know it can be a lot of time and effort and money to ship everything to about 2 hours away, but you're building the Orlando fan base, and you're going to need that because you're losing fans left and right because of all this ownership bullshit that they're doing. It doesn't have to be a lot, and it doesn't have to be. And the stadium is small. I get that. The capacity is probably less than 10,000 as currently is, but you can add in temporary seating and bolster it a bit to maybe 15. There's not going to be a lot of seats there. But no one goes to the games at the Trop anyway. So take a series against the team, against the team that no one is going to go see anyway. I'm not saying take a Yankee series there because that one actually gets filled out fairly decently. But let's go with what Freddie said. The Guardians, they suck. Take a Guardians series. Take don't do any AL East League games because those are important. So do some middling team like the Diamondbacks if they ever come to Tampa or something. Some random team no one's going to go to see.
Oh, the XFL.
Just put it at Disney.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the
What's
XFL
that?
started, guys. That's right. That's the thing. The
Yeah,
Rock.
that is right.
Yeah, more for Charles to shit on the Rock.
Oh yeah, trust me, that's coming too. Look, I got no mercy.
So there's that, and then do, I don't know, a quarter of your spring training games. Doesn't have to be a whole ton because, you know, you do have Port Charlotte, but do some of your spring training games in Disney. You have an empty stadium that's just begging to be used. And it's such a nice stadium, guys. It really is. I love the architecture. I'll show you pictures.
You literally told me after like a 40-minute rant that I'm not here to say play at Disney. I'm here for the Orlando base, and they said play at Disney. Oof.
The Rays, they may want to be careful with that because it starts to sort of look like the Montreal Expos and how they were playing in Puerto Rico.
I get that.
You know?
But that was in fucking Puerto Rico. A Tampa fan can drive 2 hours away.
Yeah, but it's still a...
Orlando fans drive 2 hours away to go to games to Trop.
It's still...
So why not just reverse the trend for 1 or 2 weekends a year?
Yeah, well, the outside perspective would be that, oh, they can't sell the Trop. They're doing this out of desperation until they can find a different location. You know what I mean? And Orlando's not going to shell out the money to build a stadium. So,
I think you have a stronger argument, all busting your nuts aside, Andrew, if you just say that it will help stimulate a better economy that isn't so tourist reliant.
I would say it just promotes the game of baseball. Because
but we don't care about you have to have
believe it or not,
Manfred promote
really
the game of baseball.
Yeah.
But that's Orlando's not going to care about that, you know.
Well, I mean, let me just say this: there was some millionaire who wanted to start a major league team in Orlando pretty recently. It was either getting the Rays to move or to start an expansion team. The expansion team is obviously never going to happen. The only cities that can really support two teams in close proximity is really like New York and Los Angeles.
Would you consider close proximity of Miami and Tampa though? That's what, 4 hours on a good day, quarter of the day, or is that too far out to range it?
That's far enough. You know, you can make it to in somewhat in like slightly below average traffic. You can get from Orlando to Tampa in about 2.5 hours. I consider that too close.
I mean, Florida has 3 football teams in ideally northern Florida, South Florida, and then West Coast Florida. So Tampa's weird. So it's not impossible to say I would rather funnel money. I hate to say it, but I'd rather funnel money into Orlando for a team for the basis of who they can touch in the medium and the youth, instead of you just go to like not another LA team, but I'm trying to like New Mexico for whatever reason. I don't know why I'm pooping on them, but I'm pooping on them.
Hey man, that's some pretty good food.
I'm not. Hey, we're gonna. But there's things.
See, something that I think would be a decent idea, and listen, I know that you hate Polk County with your heart and soul.
Watch your words very correctly if you're going to give any praise to Polk County in front of me.
But just from a logistics standpoint, in terms of how much land costs, and wanting to maintain really 2 solid fan bases, 2 metro areas, why not build a stadium out in Orlampa or near Lakeland? The land's cheaper there. It's close enough so that people from Tampa and Orlando would feel like, okay, that's a decent drive. And since the land is so cheap and there's nothing out there, you can build whatever the hell you want. You don't have to worry about
essentially what the Braves did when they moved out.
Exactly.
But
I think
except it's just more Hicks.
Yeah, but
instead of rich white people, it's just Hicks.
Yeah, but that's the problem is they're going ownership, as the Miami Marlins know, new owners are never going to really want to invest most of their money
Yeah,
into
and the
any kind of thing.
Braves
And those are
aren't that
very,
far from that location.
yeah, and Bud, those are very,
From
very
Metro
poverty-filled
Atlanta.
areas. You're not getting real cash flow out of
And
it. So you're not
it'd be
going to
hard
get
to
any,
convince players to go there.
yeah, you're not going to get any kind of city or county benefits. Your lot of our Lampa is commendable, but you know, oh man, I feel like rich girls don't marry poor boys. Jay Gassy.
Wait. Hold on. Time out.
Yeah.
There is a reason why a player would be interested in
No,
the
I'm not talking about
homestead.
you. Well, also state.
It's the homestead exemption. They can they get up to 100-something acres, all exempt from. They get an exemption or a lowering on their taxes.
Yeah, but
Guys
the
can have fucking ranches out there.
But the land up there.
Whereas
but have you been to these places, figuratively speaking? And
I've driven through them, yes.
Yeah, so you've just been
Charles,
on the groves of it. Like I lived in those areas, and I can tell you right now, those ranches, if you're on a baseball salary, is really not going to be big, cost them as much as it would be. And plus, in truth, man,
if you're getting paid millions, I don't know if that's going to really.
And if you're a baseball star, you're not going to want to go. You're going to want to go somewhere there's some privacy come into it. For all intents and purposes.
I just find it difficult to convince anyone to live. It's like gosh.
No state tax is nice.
Yeah, but you can get that in Miami. you know.
Well, remember,
or you can get that in Houston.
But
or Dallas.
for Andrew's arguments, the idea is that there's going to be people who, one, it's their starter pack. They're not going to get the biggest things. They're not going to get offering into Miami or Tampa, so it just gets some acclaim. And it might get people of interest, but also understanding this to go on a bigger component because it's a sports show. We're actually going into the real thick of it because I think about Sandy Alcantara talk about why he likes Miami and how it has touch points to international players.
Watching Jared Tash's
you cannot follow him on the Twitter. Follow us on the Twitter. FJOJR Charles the True Daffrey Holes, who should change his name to Orlando Lover, Sports Goofs, everything like that, baby. You're not gonna have that international flavor, man. It is. Because they're, I don't want to say it's, impoverished areas, but because it's predominantly, can I say Hickville? I'm not even saying of ill intent, but, on the basis of things.
For the first time ever, yes.
Yeah. Well, because I think of Letterkenny and sometimes it's appropriate there, but you're not, it's more agricultural. So it's not going to have that prospect of what baseball wants to shift to, which is getting the international
big
players.
Metropolitan areas, big TV markets as well.
If anything, it's the assumption of going back to another New York team that's not Mets or Yankees, but Rochester, Buffalo, stuff like that.
That's true. Yeah, if that would they would have put a team in Buffalo or.
Because remember, your argument, Andrew, and the bigger argument that is the MLB's problem is you have to find a line of any kind of franchise hasn't really had to be taken consideration of the business of the MLB, but also the benefits of the players. Because what comes into play? MLB player agreements as well, right? They don't have a say on expansions, but they have that output of what they want to get in all the signs of merchandise, equity, and all these other things that come into a factor. I'm trying to have a formulated thought as I'm playing as Bob Burnquist and Tony Hawk. Andrew, let's pause on me and Andrew real quickly because this is interesting. But Francisco, what's your thoughts on this? Because I felt like Andrew and I have kind of sparred on it, but I want to hear your 2 cents.
I mean, I don't think a team would work. A team would not work out in the middle of the between period of Orlando and Tampa. I don't think Major League Baseball would have it. It's like the Braves are 20 minutes out of Atlanta proper. So it's not really that big of a, and I've driven that. We stayed in a hotel in Atlanta proper, and then we made it out to the Braves field. So it wasn't that big of a deal to drive on. It basically like when the Marlins are playing out at Hard Rock, whatever, Pro Player, whatever you want to call it. Like it's from West Palm Beach. It's not that bad of a drive. You get there and sheesh, man, on good days like 30, 40 minutes, that type of thing. Depending on where you're coming from in South Florida, but like Atlanta is pretty close. The Dodgers are not that far away from downtown LA. Like there's problems with Tampa in St. Petersburg right now, and so you're gonna tell people to go all the way to Lakeland or whatever. So I find that very difficult.
Maybe in 20 years when gentrification really hits properly.
Yeah,
but...
or unless the Bright Line goes all the way through to Lakeland and goes to, but that's really the only way I would see anything. And if there's like a gigantic population spike or something like that, and they're building skyscrapers out in Polk County.
And I know I spent my time saying
Corporate
Orlando
base,
specifically,
as well.
but
like Charles was saying, that's just farm towns where you're not getting Blue Cross Blue Shield and all that stuff all the way out there. All those corporations and stuff. The sponsorship dollars. That's what drives all these teams. That's why they're in these big cities. That's why no city bigger than, that's why like something like Green Bay is rare, or and even in Major League Baseball, like what Cincinnati and Cleveland are like the teams that are considered like the low end of that type of stuff. Like, sheesh. So that's kind of like Tampa. Tampa's the central, and if you're gonna save the Rays, then they have to be in Tampa proper. That's really the only way. And then Orlando's not gonna. The Magic work fine in Orlando. I actually saw their attendance numbers. They actually don't do pretty. They've been terrible for a long time, but for some reason people still go to the games. So, like, that's fine and all. But the NBA is weird because the NBA has San Antonio and Portland, and just all these small cities.
I think it's also because of the star power in the NBA.
Yeah,
like knowing who's baseball. Yeah, and it's tough because here's the thing: back in the LeBron days when he was in Cleveland,
baseball's a lot of big cities.
You would be like, okay, it's the Magic, and they do well. A solo superstar can bring a franchise. Remember
Giannis
the last
in Milwaukee?
Yeah, the last selling and rebranding was what happened to Oklahoma or Seattle SuperSonics, and that was just because Paul Allen just didn't want to do it anymore, and all that stuff. Was it Paul Allen? I might be getting my ownership.
The ownerships, the
I think I'm getting my ownerships confused because I'm thinking Allen was for the Trailblazers. Sorry, but you can have those locales like Portland. They have Damian. He's been the constant. Orlando has had constants with originally Shaq and then Dwight Howard, and then having some good teams built into it. It's just bad now because mismanagement of who you hire as coaching.
And we've seen this. I'm thinking it from a business standpoint.
Yeah.
We even looked at. I think I've sent you this chart of like which cities realistically can, due to their population and their TV market and whatever corporations stuff like that.
We're actually doing some real stuff here. This is great.
Yeah, we're an hour and 7 minutes in, and so and we're gonna end this up soon. But there's only a certain few cities that can truly support a major league franchise, just because of the frequency of games and stuff like that. Like NFL, sure, you can get a ton of people to converge into one city, like Green Bay and Jacksonville, for a game once a week for 8 weeks in the last 3 months of the year. Like, that's fine. Same thing with college football and stuff like that. You can get people to converge in Lincoln, to go to Lincoln, Nebraska, and suddenly make that stadium bigger than actual cities in Nebraska, But like baseball is just, you need constant people to come in. And
that is a downside of Orlando because you have too much to do here. You've got 3 theme parks. You've got iDrive. You've got that apparently very delicious steakhouse on iDrive.
I got a little, I got a little hungry thinking about it. Only, $4.75 in hell. $4.75 is the only thing that can help my cravings.
Factor
I can't
75.
have cafe Factor 75. I'm thinking force factors. Factor 75 is the only thing that can stop my cravings when I'm getting hungry.
You can get your first box, Charles.
I might have to look at that.
You get 50% off.
Charles is not doing fast
code.
Food. He might have to quit drinking for a bit.
It's up on the screen. It's getting tweeted out. It's up on the chat. Like,
is this one of those things where I have to actually put my money where my mouth is and try it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can. We're gonna. This is gonna be a thing for the next month or so of our shows. So we can give it a try if you want to, and we can give people the straight up Charles' review of it, you know. And look, it's simple, it's easy. You just use our link. You go to go.factor75.com and use the code FactorSC26950. That's pretty long, for 50% off your first box. Alrighty. Well, we're at the halfway point. Well, way beyond that now, guys. Shall we go on?
We'll have. I say put a pin in this. We'll continue this discussion next week.
Word from our non-sponsors now. People, places, things, concepts, what have you, that we've been enjoying over the last week. So, I don't know. Who wants to go first this week, guys? Anybody? Anybody in mind? I'll start. Okay, guys. So, I've been super busy. It's been insane with work and everything like that. But one of the things, let's see, hold on. Freddie's got, he's got a good one this week. He's got Peeps Pepsi. Peeps Pepsi. Hold on. Have you guys even tried this flavor? I've been afraid to. Charles's Iron Gullet. Have you tried it, Charles? No? Nobody can hear me? Anybody?
I can hear you.
Okay. I think Charles is out. I can't hear him. He might have dropped out there or somebody's talking to him. But regardless, yeah, Peeps Pepsi's. I haven't. Sheesh, man. I'm afraid to. I haven't had an actual peep in forever. That's one thing. Mm-hmm. It's been a while. I think the last one that I had is still being digested by my intestines. So, okay, Charles' internet kicked them out, so he'll pop back in a bit. So yeah, Peeps flavored Pepsi. I guess if Freddie likes it, then it must be pretty good. I was in Publix earlier today, but I didn't see them. And they're big yellow boxes, or yellow cans or bottles, so I can't really miss them. Or pink. I don't know, they're pink too. I like that kind of color style, actually. But reminds me of Splatoon, actually. The new update just dropped, Andrew. I tried it yesterday. I was very angry. There were a lot of players that were not good at playing the game. You've improved immeasurably. I can tell you that much. I wish you were playing with me, because I think we would have had a fighting chance in a lot of the games. I was just playing Turf War because they made some changes to the maps and to the balancing.
Well, why don't we play tonight?
Yeah, we will. I got a thing for work afterwards. I'll do a quick call and then we can play some more. But there have been some changes to the maps, so I want to play them all through Turf War before we move on to something else. The other Anarchy mode and stuff like that. But okay, so Peeps Soda. So my non-sponsor is my chiropractor. Yeah, my chiropractor. I'm old, guys. I'm old. I'm 35. Like, the back hurts. I sit down all day at a desk, and I've been improving myself. I bought a standing desk that will be a future non-sponsor, because I actually have been enjoying it. But it was all through the suggestions of my chiropractor, because my back was just all messed up. I was in pain. I couldn't sit down right. Like, it just was not good. So I luckily that she's right down the hall from where I work. So I just literally have to walk like a minute, and boom, I'm right there. So it's convenient for me. There's always she's got a big long line of old people that are walking in there. So thanks to the I guess some of the local clinics that you see, all these medical centers that you see out there here in Miami, they will refer them to her, and they bring them in these big giant buses, not giant buses, but smaller buses, and she takes care of them. So if they trust her to handle those old people, then they can handle this old person right here. So They got my back running good. They got the electro rubbing. I don't know. They rubbed me with some sort of electricity back there. It zaps. And they put some sort of goo on my back and they kind of rub it for like 10 minutes or so, which I actually enjoy. It's actually a nice reprieve from work because it's in the middle of the day. I'll just be like, all right, guys, I'll be back. I'm going to the chiropractor, and I'm just gonna lay down in the middle of the afternoon after I'm, already tired from work, and it's just a nice little break until she does some nice little breaking of me by cracking my back and readjusting myself. But I do feel really good after. I feel a lot better than when I started for sure. I have improved. I'm sleeping better. I'm standing up. My posture's way better. I'm doing stretches and all these other things that she's suggested to me, and I've gotten better now. I was going twice a week. Now I'm just going once a week now. So I'm on the road to recovery.
Speaking of immeasurable improvement.
What? Oh yeah, Splatoon. Yeah. So that's my chiropractor. I don't really have a promo code. I haven't even really said her name, but regardless, she's pretty good. She's at my building. Whatever. Tweet at us if you want to know. Okay.
You say Crackerback as your promo code.
Crackerback for sure. All right. Who wants to go next?
I'll go next.
All right, Andrew.
So, again, I've spent the good part of nearly an hour discussing this place, but my non-sponsor has to be the ESPN Wide World of Sports. And I'll explain. So, the amount of nostalgia that came back was immense. Aside from it being a very pretty stadium and, the whole complex is quite nice, but, and I know, Charles, you hate Disney, and believe me, I hate Disney too, in terms of the corporate shills and all that shit. But, I went to my first professional. Well, no, that's not true. Well, I went to my first Major League game there. It was spring training, but it was the first time I ever saw Major League Baseball live. I went to minor league games there. I went to so many spring training games that I can't count. We couldn't afford to go to games out in Tampa, both due to travel distance and just the cost of tickets. So you had major league teams that you could go to for $5-10 a seat. So, the Rays or the Braves left while I was living in Miami, so I didn't get a chance to go to any games from 2014 to 2019. And, I thought, well, damn, I'm never going to be able to go to this place again. And then up and popped this one opportunity. And it was nice just for a few hours, 2.5 hours, thanks to the new pace of play rules. It was nice to, and not because it was Disney, but because, well, I guess it was, but it was nice for a few hours to kind of reminisce and feel like a kid again. And again, I know it's Disney, but it was not necessarily because of Disney, but it was a place that I spent a lot of time as a kid. I may have felt the same if I had got to go to the Silver Spurs Park where the Astros used to play. So it, for a few hours today, I got to put away the current worries of the world and just relax in a place that was like a little home away from home. So to Disney Wide World of Sports, thank you. It was an amazing day today. Promo code Cracker Jacks.
All right, Charles.
I will not support My non-sponsor is not Orlando or Disney. Sorry, kids. So, when I can't have a Factor 75 meal, which I'll probably end up signing up for, I reflect on using this segment to eat and stuff my face with things to either deal with my sugar rush that needs stuff, my spicy rush that I have to kind of cut out. My life is very hard. I'm a stupid little boy, Peter Pan style, and I need to eat. Or sometimes I got the weekend blown up. And, when we do these things, not everything has to be a new person, new sponsor. You can always retread. And you're allowed to retread because if we're giving you props, that means we like you so much, we'll do it again. It's not supposed to be for the pomp and circumstance, right? It's not the participation trophy. When you're sponsored by us, you're lucky. If you sponsor us, we're grateful. So Friday night, I was feeling all right. I was hungry. I had a long day at work. I didn't know what I wanted to eat. I knew I just did not want whatever, leftover Chinese food that I had again, because I think I went like 3 days going for Chinese food. Because when you buy in bulk, man, you got to eat it. That's just the way I do things. I hate leftover food. I can't do it. But whenever I look in the sky and I say, man, what do I want? The spirit calls to me. The spirit being the food spirit that's in my tummy. And I wanted some tacos. And I didn't want just like, your regular standard tacos that you got the taco truck, which is always a good option. I wanted some gourmet tacos made by some people who have no business making tacos. So I ordered Taco Shack. And we love Taco Shack. You have one in? I think Jupiter has one. Surprisingly, there's one by where I live. So you see, there's a point to Jupiter if that actually is true. But I ordered my 3 tacos, and then they had mini pretzel chorizo cheese bites. And if y'all know me, that gets me excited in a way that nothing could get me excited. I love chorizo. It starts with CH, so does Charles, and that sounds pretty good to me. Pretty great, even. And I had those, and they were just delicious, scrumdiddlyumptious. And I had my quesadilla taco. I had my mojo pork taco. But the gods blessed me, boys, because I paid for 3 tacos, and they give me a 4th taco. And I don't know if that was their mistake or not, but who am I to say no when the gods want to give me?
Charles loves himself a good deal, just like Factor 75. Get 50% off your first box. You know what I mean?
Exactly. When everything's a starter, we take it. I need good things to happen. And because sometimes I feel like Sisyphus pulling that boulder up there, or if we're going to go biblical, because we were mentioning Old Testament, New Testament, sometimes I feel like Job. And I'm going to the sky, I'm like, say, what is this all worth for? What is my destiny? What is my purpose? Why do I ruin everything? And then the universe, the gods, all forms of them just going to say, free 4th taco, bro. And I was able to have that for
I have it on the screen.
And my lunch. And it was scrumdiddlyumptious delicious. So remember, when all else is going to hell, as Andrew was getting nostalgic over back in the day, I'm about the here and now. And what I know is getting a 4th taco is awesome. But try those mini pretzel cheesy bites. Get yourself a quesadilla taco and everything that you want. Try to see if you can ship that up to Orlando. And after you get your back cracked, go get yourself some Taco Shack. Wow, I made it rhyme without planning to, and it's fantastic. And then when you're done hating yourself for what you eat, get yourself some Factor 75. So Taco Shack, y'all know we love it. Promo code chorizo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looked good. It looks very good. All right. I had tacos on Sunday with Doug. That was pretty sweet. Yeah. Oh, it was good. Twas tasty, boys. Twas tasty. All right. Well, we're at an hour and 23 minutes. Andrew Patrick Kane is gone from Chicago.
Is that the gambler? Or am I thinking Evander Kane?
No, Evander Kane is the, he's the gambling one. Patrick Kane was the, he's a little bit like Ben Roethlisberger.
Man,
Allegedly!
I'd rather take the gambler, bud.
Allegedly.
Well, he also did. Although he did play for a team that aided and abetted sexual assault.
Yeah, the Chicago Blackhawks as well. Yeah. So he's off to the New York Rangers.
Of a feather mentality.
Yeah, he's off to the New York Rangers. Huge trade went down today. That is, he's been there since ever with the Blackhawks, like what, 07, 08? So he's probably one of the best American players to have ever played NHL hockey for sure, and he will be a Hall of Famer. He'll have his number retired in Chicago, and yeah, he's already got 3 Stanley Cups, so he's got really nothing more to prove at this point. But he's off to New York, see if the Rangers can try and actually win something, and we'll see what happens there. But that was that's really the massive trade deadline deal that's gone down, and we knew the Blackhawks were going to blow this thing up eventually. Finally it's happened.
That wasn't the big one, dude.
Patrick Kane, I think Patrick Kane leaving is a big one to me.
No.
I mean, Nick Leddy's he's off from Detroit.
I mean, maybe that's the most noteworthy player, but you've got the Timo Meier trade.
Okay, alrighty.
Went from San Jose to New Jersey.
Okay. Devils are really going all in.
Then you have the Tanner Jeannot trade that just happened like a day or two ago.
Yeah.
See, I would know who these people are if Andrew let me buy NHL 23, but he had to play the moral high ground about EA. And now I have been compelled. He couldn't sell me on Orlando, but he could sell me a little bit on saving my money, because I'm a fan of saving my money, and Andrew knows that.
The Canucks also traded out Luke Shen. I mean, the Canucks are a disaster, and they deserve everything that they deserve. But yeah.
So I'll explain the big trades here. My phone was talking to me. So I'll bring up the Jeannot trade first because that was involving my Lightning. Mm-hmm. The Lightning traded, as they do the past few years, they give up a fortune to get one seemingly random kind of grinding type player who ends up being a huge addition to the team for the playoffs. Barclay Goodrow was one. Blake Coleman was one. Nick Paul, Brandon Hagel. They've all been added at the trade deadline in 2020, 2021, 2022. This year, our contestant is Tanner Jeannot from the Nashville Predators. He was traded for defenseman Cal Foote, our 3rd, 4th, and 5th round picks this year, a 2nd round pick in 2024, and a protected 1st round pick in 2025.
Are these picks valuable? Because explain to me in NBA terms, because I've seen that go through and has no.
Well, it's like the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat don't care about the draft pick, so they go all in for the now. So
Miami Heat just go for undrafted people, so it doesn't even count anymore. Sorry,
but draft picks though in the NBA are more valuable. I would say the value of NHL is more akin to NFL.
Okay.
Because the NFL has 7 rounds. The NBA has 1. 3.
The NBA has 2.
Anyone hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
You were cutting in and out on my end, but
the NBA has 2.
7 rounds, I believe.
All right, there's like an echo of Andrew.
Yeah, suddenly he sounds like he's a mile away. Not sure why.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, dude. Now I can hear you. Maybe he smacked his microphone on.
Okay. So the NHL has 7 rounds. Really, well, again, you can dive in those later rounds, but if you're a team like the Lightning where your window is right, those draft picks don't really matter. You want a way to win right now as Steven Stamkos scores on the power play. 3-2 Panthers with 16:55 left in the 3rd period. So the Lightning's window is now. It's wide open. It's not going to close for another few seasons. So, I mean, admittedly, oh, you know what? That might be an interference call. That might be an interference call. That's probably coming back. Sorry, I'm watching the game and getting sidetracked. So, for the Lightning, you want a proven commodity now versus something that may or may not come to fruition in a few seasons. The NHL is kind of like a mix between baseball and football in terms of its draft, because in football there are 7 rounds.
It sounds more akin, man, to baseball and basketball, the way they utilize their draft people. Because baseball,
well, except there are fewer. There are fewer picks in basketball, though. There's only 60 picks.
But the status of players being good and young, are very limited. Like you're now you also have the implementation of the G League as well, which has kind of changed a little bit there. Because I would say for football, you can have like 7 picks, but you can get some legitimate big stars and starters out of the 4th and 5th rounds, or 3rd rounds even. Whereas in I don't know how it is in hockey or anything like that, but like in basketball, like let's name some big time 2nd round draft pick guys. Not a lot, for basketball. And then baseball, that's a 25 draft deep thing. That's nonsense. But I see your point, is that there is no value to it to win now and get who you can get, and then, cry about it 15 years later if it doesn't, get you that person or that championship.
Right.
Well, that's what the New York Rangers are doing as well. They got Vladimir Tarasenko and they got Patrick Kane now. And Jacob Chekhov's still out there as well from the Coyotes.
So it seems like a lot, and I'll be honest, I think most Lightning fans or even other GMs in the league are kind of dumbstruck at giving a okay player, he's not a top player, in Cal Foot and 5 draft picks, for one player who everyone keeps talking about has fewer goals this season than he does the number of draft picks given up for him. But once you get past the initial sticker shock, you realize that Julian Breezewa, our GM, he's done this before, and he's hit a home run each time. So if he's going to do this, he must like something in this player. So, I'm going to trust in him, and, hope this is a good pickup. We'll see in a few months. You see the other big trade.
I mean, honestly, it's just it's one guy. I think the New York Rangers have made the biggest splash out of anybody. The Leafs
Panthers didn't get anybody, right?
The Panthers don't have any cap space, so they can't get anybody.
That's who got cap.
The Panthers went all in last year and didn't make it past the 2nd round. So there you go. But the New York Rangers are going for it this year. They are truly going for it, even though they're just trying to get into the playoffs and see if they can make some magic happen with these guys. Yeah, Patrick Kane's been there before. He's done his thing. Same thing with Vladimir Tarasenko. He was with the Blues star, and he was supposed to be traded out of St. Louis a while ago. So finally, he's out. The Canucks are ripe for the pickings right now. They're pick out Bo Horvat's gone. You got Luke Shen is gone now. The Devils are also picking up a bunch of guys because their rebuild has gone fantastic. They are back to being contenders, and they can actually challenge for that division with Carolina there. But really, everybody's just in the massive shadow of the Bruins so far. The Bruins are far and away the best team in the NHL, and one can only hope that they lose some sort of steam but come playoff time, because that'll be different. But let's see. Evgeny Daviganov went from Montreal. I don't know why he went to Montreal in the first place. To Detroit, to Dallas. Sorry. The Golden Knights are also picking up some guys. The Blues have completely blown it up at this point. Their championship window is completely closed now. It's gone. It's over. They got theirs back in 2019, so they're good. So they're blowing it up over there. So everybody's picking out the carcass of St. Louis too. But just all these Western teams, the Golden Knights, the Kraken, the West is way more closer than the East. Everybody's kind of bunched up with the West. They're all within 5 points of each other. So it's pretty exciting. The Flames are the only team outside looking in. The Predators are selling. They're not great. They don't have a great offense as well. So their chance for contending is kind of over for now. They really do need to rebuild, or at least do a short rebuild on the fly to try and. So they're not contending this year. So the Predators are not fooling themselves, which I think is very smart. But then again, it was Dave Poilitz, their GM. He's the GM of the USA Hockey, and he's a smart man. He's been there forever, so he knows what he's doing.
Freddie says all his fantasy teams are in second place right now.
Well, yeah. For hockey, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Let's see. The Avs picked up Keith Kincaid from the Bruins. So they're treading water, but the Avs will be fine. I think they've got a few games in hand, and will try and challenge for the Central Division. But they're going to coast until they make it to the playoffs, I think, and then they'll turn it on from there. The Oilers are also trying to. They're picking up guys too. I saw them play the Penguins the other day. Actually, spanked them. Their offense is fantastic. The Oilers thing is their defense, but they picked up a defenseman. They picked up Matthias Ekholm from the Predators. So there you go. But really, the East is really it's Carolina versus New Jersey. The Rangers are just trying to hang in there, and they're hoping that having Patrick Kane and Tarasenko will allow them to make something happen in the playoffs. That's really their.
Not to mention that you already have Artemi Panarin.
Yeah, their team is solid. They're not.
Yes, Alexis Lafreniere.
Yeah, their team is solid. They're fine, but they're still in the shadows of both New Jersey and Carolina. But they're kind of set in their spot as the third team in the Metro Division. And then the rest, it's just the fight. The wild card spots. The Panthers can't make any moves. They really can't. They have no cap space to do so, and they don't have games in hand. And they're just trying to get that. They're only fighting for the second wild card spot. They're not going to get the first wild card spot. They're not. I don't think they are. And geez, even the Red Wings and the Sabres are better than them, which is sad. The Penguins are also in their last throes of contention as well, because they're barely hanging on to their playoff spot right now. The Capitals too. The Capitals are just kind of they're not great this year, but honestly, this is to be expected for those two teams. It's been a long time. Sheesh, just watch Ovechkin break the goals record and just be done with it. The Lightning are the Lightning. They're doing fine. They're kind of in the same spot as the Rangers, just kind of hanging there at third place in the division. But they're not that far from the Leafs, so they could pop up and get that home ice for that first round against the Leafs, because that's basically who that's going to be that's going to be that round. It's going to be the Leafs versus the Lightning. So we're going to laugh at the Leafs for losing the first round again, because the Lightning are the perfect team to make them lose in the first round, or we can laugh at the Lightning for being the first team in like decades to allow the Leafs to make it to the second round. So there you go.
I really don't want to play them again.
Well, you're gonna have to, because nobody else in the division. The Sabres are like 12 points behind you guys. So you got the Bruins are like 15 points ahead of the Leafs. It's gonna be you guys versus the Leafs. So there you go. Beat the Leafs or have everybody laugh at you for losing to the Leafs and having all those horrible Canadians coming down to Tampa and taking over that building. So there you go. That's all I got on the NHL trade deadline. But it's been interesting, finally. Some big guys.
Although I would like to mention something about NHL before we move on.
Okay.
Congratulations to Linus Ullmark.
Yes.
Linus Ullmark became the 13th goaltender and the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8th, the 13th goaltender to score a goal in the NHL,
It was
and the
an
8th
awesome
to
goal,
do
too.
it, actually shoot the thing into the net.
Yes, indeed. And it was against the Canucks. Even better.
And I'll be honest, I've seen a video of all of the goalie goals ever scored, and I think not the most impressive. That one would have to go to Mike Smith because he fired that thing off with literally the last second.
Yeah.
The thing got in there with 0.1 seconds left on the clock, and he had no room to do it. But in terms of how far the puck went, that was certainly the best one because that thing fucking flew. I think if he had been a little bit further up, he might have been able to shoot the thing directly into the net.
Well, I like the way that he got it. I'm gonna try and put it on the screen here. He had just enough time to gather the puck in, right? Get some control from it. There was an opening that he saw clearly as all the Canucks defensemen. He just kind of just lifted it out there. It's like, all right, let's go for it. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? It's going to be an icing. Okay, fine. The Bruins are already winning anyways.
Yeah, just yeet the puck.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good way to say it. Let's get this Old Spice ad out of the way, but there you go. So I've got the
you know what ad we don't get out of the way? Factor 75. Get your
Indeed.
meals.
Oh, just a beautiful. It was kind of like a very large sauce pass because it lifted. It was kind of like a frisbee. It was just perfect. It landed perfectly flat. It didn't roll on him as it got into the goal. And of course, you gotta love it when he gets all the high fives from the fist bumps from his teammates. That's fantastic. The Canucks deserve all of this, for sure. Vancouver deserves nothing nice. Oh boy. Gorgeous. Okay. Let's see. NBA, LeBron's injured?
Yeah. After all these massive trades.
Yeah. So LeBron
Which
is
sucks,
injured.
man. Like, I'm going to tell you, I know people hate the guy and they have the rights to go into it, but he makes basketball matter. I know people would say, Charles, you're crazy, but, you can get a lot of people to like certain things, man, be interested, be invested. And him not being there is going to make Barry McCockner is going to quote us on this one. Him not being there is going to make the Lakers' downfall of not making the playoffs feel like, as opposed to them not making him if he was starting, because that's a long period of time. They're going to reassess him in like 2 weeks.
Yeah. So 2 to 3 weeks, he's gone. The Lakers have nobody.
They have Anthony Davis, but he's going to get hurt.
Well, yeah. And Anthony Davis on his own hasn't been enough to lift a bad team anyways. So there you go. And we know this. You know this to be true. So right, he needed somebody else. He couldn't do it by himself. So there you go. But I mean, the rest of the NBA, Goran Dragic is available now. He's been released.
I want that. I need that. We can cut the NBA a little bit.
Just got Kevin Love. After they got bought out from Cleveland.
Who do we get rid of though? I mean, because I hate to say it, but rather have Gabe Vincent still there. He's not. The Struss to me was a little bit of a problem when I saw him live, and when I've seen the stats afterwards of shooting too many threes. But do you want to get rid of Hightower? I think his name, or Highsmith, or Orlando Robinson? Like, what do you want to do? Would Goran return? I mean, he's on the back nine because the problem is I feel like I know the team that's going to want him. It's going to make me sick to my stomach. It's gonna be Philly.
Mm.
It's gonna be Philly. They're going to got a guy who's gonna lead that second unit, get the ball properly distributed. I can't live like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Giannis is hurt as well.
Yeah, that's true. He is also hurt.
The Celtics, I don't know if that's a team that's just complete and built to win the playoffs or what have you. I'm not going to say they're fraudulent like I did last year. There's some legitimacy that I see considering the factors. Brad Stevens has built a good team, and I'm going to give them their flowers with that statement. Yeah.
Okay. I just haven't LeBron gets hurt, everybody hears about it. So I heard about that.
I've been following a little bit more than you have because now is that time of the year where I gotta shine. I'll just give a couple highlights.
I just gotta watch Snyder. A couple Heat games. I just need a couple Heat games under my belt, and then I'll be back in.
Well, we'll
and I've been watching some. I've been watching some videos, but it's more NBA historical stuff about why James Harden's career went down the drain and some other things. It was just more of that. Why Doc Rivers is not a good coach. Just things like that. But not that. Of current stuff going on.
I gave a whole doctorate degree on it.
Yeah.
Doctorate paper. So I'll catch up the speed of things to note. Quinn Snyder has now signed on with a 5-year deal to be the Atlanta Hawks coach. They fired Nate McMillan.
Makes sense.
Quinn Snyder was the Utah Jazz coach all those years. But here's my thing about that. If he couldn't make Mitchell and Gobert work,
how is he going to make Trey?
How is he going to make Trey, Collins, and Capella work? And then also they have DeJounte Murray in there. And I think Quinn Snyder's an excellent coach. I always have. But I don't know. Trey, you kind of keep... I don't care to describe if it was an ego thing or not. In the same way of what led to McMillan's firing. It was going to happen because that team had just kind of it felt like now you delegitimized their entire Eastern Conference run. That year they went to the finals as being just a situation of bad teams who couldn't get the job done, as opposed to being a legitimate possible challenger. And basketball, even though we say it, a single player can bring the star power. A single player cannot win you a title. They can get you maybe to the finals, AI, but they can't win it for you overall. So there was that process there. I still think the Warriors are going to be okay, much to Barry McCockner's pain and hearing going into it. Gotta see if I ever get that guy on the show, right? A few other things, how bad is too bad? Because the Rockets just seem atrocious. That's some observations.
Well, I mean, they're supposed to be atrocious, so.
Yeah, but the thing is, how long are you supposed to do a rebuild without a plan? Cleveland, I wanted Donovan Mitchell so badly. Right? The Orlando's doing decent. They're not.
They started out. They've balanced themselves out in a sense.
Banchero was the right call because I saw Jabari Smith. I think was the first round pick or the second or third pick in the draft for the Rockets, and I just think of the freshman. But they seem kind of clueless coming into it. Philly frauds. I love Joel Embiid, but damn man, that's kind of like the sensation you get.
We know it's hollow. Look. Okay, Doc Rivers. I watched the whole 40-minute thing about Doc Rivers. So Doc Rivers does good when there's no expectations for him. Fine, fantastic. He did it in Orlando. Those down years with the Celtics towards the down years when the Heat were the top of the dog. And then the initially a little bit with the Clippers, at the end with the Clippers after the guys left, right? Yeah. So he does great with less more than anything else, but when he has more, that's when we get the problems, right? So
just can't advance into the finals.
So man. Exactly. So we're regular season, fantastic. He'll get you 50 wins, no problem. You'll get the third seed. Maybe once in a while you get a second. Heck, you might even get a first every now and then. But
I'm gonna say something hot topic about him. The man I feel is more recognizable as the man who coached the Clippers than the man who won a title with the Celtics and then got them there a second time because the Celtics too. It was the players that really outshone that.
Yeah, when the NBA came out,
because you got to remember they had Vinny Del.
Go ahead. Sorry. Yeah, Vinny Del Negro was the coach before that.
Well, I was going to say they have Vinny Del Negro and they couldn't get that ball together.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, Doc. And they're like, Doc. And they're like, Doc. It wasn't that sensation of how when Sam Van Gundy got signed on to go to the Pelicans that one year. And it was like, Van Gundy. Everyone was like, this is a really bad hire. But I don't think they realized why it's a bad hire. But everyone was like, Doc. And it was that kind of sensation because I would argue it's weird. The man who wins a title, to me, is not more noticeable, partially, too, because of the controversy that brought with Doc in LA, because you got to remember there was a whole Donald Sterling situation there. And him and Chris Paul had to man that in that first season. But, yeah, it be like that sometimes. I don't hate Doc. I don't hate everybody. But in the NBA, when I've seen what the litmus test is for what being a great coach is, having one ring and getting there to another finals and losing does not qualify you as being a magnificent coach.
Right.
Just saying. There's a lot of repeat coaches out there.
Yeah.
I'm just
and there's
saying.
coaches that were able to get one ring and then just kind of did nothing after that. So, and there's the peers and stuff. When the NBA had the the NBA 75, they had like the top coaches of all time, or top 10 or top 50 or whatever. Like they put Doc there, and there were actual players, current players and past players, that are like, he should not be there. And it's like you said, that people remember him more for his failures than his one lone success. And that one lone success, I watched the whole video about this. The Celtics barely made it out of each of those rounds. They were like taking like game 7 each and every one of them in the first 3 rounds, and I think only with like the Lakers they got it, and they won in 6 against the Lakers, so they still barely beat the Lakers as well. So they
lost in 7 when they had a 20-point lead.
Yeah. So that was the other thing. So like he barely got himself a ring
because remember, he's the choker. Because wasn't that the thing that happened in Philly? They were up and they couldn't close out the series.
Yep. Against
Atlanta.
Just
Doc's weird. But everything else in the NBA, I haven't really checked the pulse into. I'm kind of there. And
I looked at the
you
standings.
Had a lot of guys
I'm like,
switching.
Okay.
But it is of interest now. You'll get more NBA. If you like NBA, you're going to get more of it from my end.
Yeah, I'm going to start. I'm actually I'm putting in the effort too. I'm watching my videos.
Going to a live event. Yeah, going to a live event kind of makes you in there, but the whole thing is I'm interested because everybody's hyping us. Everybody's hyping up the Heat as if we're the team that you don't want to play. And I'm like, no, you would absolutely want to play us because all you have to do is go on one run and it's over. So it's more or less so I can say phooey to the critics. Phooey to the critics on the belief that Jimmy Butler and Eric Spoelstra can get to that hype because we'll make the playoffs. If we lose in the play-in round, my position of like a stat or abolishing the play-in is going to be even tenfold.
I think
we're like 8th right now.
Basically, if you sleep on the Heat, then they'll win you that first round. That
means you have not seen that roster.
Yeah, your players just kind of poop the bed. You know what I mean?
But no, even the fandom who really thinks that we can get out of the first round, I'm telling you right now,
I don't know.
That roster is deficient, man.
I don't know that. I haven't really been watching that side of Heat Twitter. Those delusional ones that think we can win like everything. We can get every player. I've been seeing more of the negative Heat Twitter side.
I send you all the stuff. It's hysterical.
Yeah.
And I still hold my position about Bam. I know he has an all-star season. Great for him. I still think that today's day and age, I would want a guy who can be a rim protector, baller, as in my rotation, my second unit, as opposed to being a starter. I want a big who can shoot a 3 because the game has advanced to having a big who can shoot a 3.
Yeah.
Our boy Jeremy Taché might disagree. I like Bam, but you look at how Jokic and the
we got the prototypical guy with Kevin Love.
Yeah, Kevin Love, and you look at how Joel and Giannis, they kind of changed that game, and it's just not possible for him, and we're really missing a dimension. And I want that because here's the thing. Jimmy, you probably get another 2 years, and then it's all she wrote.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's fair. Bam signed off for another 3, man. And, even if Spo is no longer the coach there, because that was the joke I was going to make about Doc. If Spo was fired and Doc was fired the same season, we wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want that switching the gears of him being our manager. But the NBA is going to get interesting just because the idea that I am really focused on that Phoenix team. I'm kind of scared with it. I think everybody should be because this is not even. Yeah, this is even an idea of like it's so much about legacy and how much everybody legitimately hates KD, and I'm just like, but Show me the guy who has stayed there, because the whole thing is like he won a title, with his team. They say that, well, KD went to the finals. Is that not good enough? Is that not good enough? I think that's good enough. Wouldn't you guys agree? It's not as if
we
he
love
never
KD on the show, so
yeah, but not even for the petty, but the silliness of that saying like, well, he didn't stay around. People get traded all the time. It's actually, if you we love Damian Lillard. He'll never leave Portland if he could. I would love him in Miami in a damn heartbeat. But he stays, like everybody always says, grass is greener. But look what happened to Russell Westbrook. He gets traded like 4 different times. It's not because the guy's a Hall of Famer. It's not because he isn't still a good player.
Russ
but
tried.
it's a business.
Tried in OKC as long as
yeah,
he could.
it's a business, right? And that's the truth coming into it. So, and people just want to hate him. And now there's a part of me, my dislike of Devin Booker is not outweighing my love for Kevin Durant. So I am of that nature. I'm like, you know what? I want him to win the title.
And you can keep that petty too as well. You can be like, hey, if it wasn't for KD, you get nothing.
Yeah.
So.
Well,
And
my feelings on Booker.
Chris Paul, there's always a Chris Paul choke factor, so you never know.
Yeah, but I think that's the whole reason why they went for KD, because they need somebody who can actually close out the game.
Yeah, or well, actually not stay healthy, because both could actually go down. It could actually blow up in the face.
Listen, man, I have seen KD just will himself, and those are the players I want. I want guys who will.
We know KD can also not be available.
Yeah, sure. But you have a staff like that. There's nothing to indicate they ever got really hurt, except, that one time in the finals, the ultimate asterisk championship win. But everything he's done has been fantastic. So, yeah, NBA, we're going to be good on that one, kids.
Okay. Alrighty. All right, you know what? We're an hour 56. We're like 9:30 at our time. So let's just head on over to the cage, because I know Charles has been itching to talk about what he's been wanting to talk about.
Yeah, and it's gonna be it will be a shorter cage just because we're gonna focus on one thing. Because next week we'll talk about AEW's pay-per-view, and we'll talk about WrestleMania compliance, because remember, wrestling's not coming in until April. Let me do it now. Welcome everybody to your weekly Truplex The Cage with Charles. Full disclosure, wrestling is not fake. It's a scripted fight. It's a staged fight. It's a song and dance about men and women trying to beat the holy hell out of each other, chasing championships, and just trying to establish their legacy, win some championships, and get some there. But wrestling is also what, boys? Cinema. It's a soap opera. It's about fan investment. Sometimes you say, por los hijos. You do it for the kids. And then sometimes you do it for the Peter Pan men like me, who get invested for 9 months of the storyline. And I was very disappointed when somebody said, I can't do it tonight last week. Where I'm like, but I'm holding that in. And wrestling, the thing about wrestling is you can have short-term memory, man, when other bigger stuff happens. I hate that sensation. But there was no way, no shape, no how I was going to do it. So I'll give you quick updates. AEW, pay-per-view next week, Revolution. That's going to be an AEW-centric show. You guys haven't had that in a long time. I haven't had it in a long time either. But you know what? It can matter, because there's some complaints and grievances I have with it. Ring of Honor is back in full effect, also owned by Tony Khan. They're doing their tapings. They're going to have Final Battle March 31st. New Japan, Jay White's leaving. He's probably going to AEW, but the Switchblade era is going to be interesting. I send a lot of funny gifts with him to you guys. And NWA is just terrible. Not the band, but National Wrestling Alliance under Billy Corgan, who does Smashing Pumpkins. Just so bad. Just so bad. Tyus is your world champion. Ew. Tyus, the guy who was who's like a sponsor on Fox or co-analyst, whatever. I'm like, no, thank you. I'm good on that, please. Impact's Impact. Weird stuff happens. NXT's happening tonight. Watch on USA. Watch Dynamite tomorrow on TBS. Let's talk about it. Elimination Chamber happened over the weekend, or 2 weekends ago, and it was damn effing good. The Hunter pay-per-views, man, when the expectations are low. Now, WrestleMania, I'm gonna have some critiques on, and we'll talk about that on a different day, but the matches themselves will run it down. Women's Elimination Chamber, very good. Asuka won as it should be. She'll be facing Bianca Belair. Then came Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar. I enjoyed it, but it ended in a DQ because Brock couldn't break out of the Hurt Lock and he low-blowed Bobby, and that was it. And the problem is the storyline's not being continued for the moment. They look like Bobby and Bray are going to go at it, and then Brock and Amos are going to go at it, and I have reservations. I want my continuation of big meaty men slapping meat to finalize that Mania. I don't want to go to SummerSlam, which is where I think it goes to. You disappointed me, Hunter. The men's Elimination Chamber, very, very good. All those men, Seth Rollins, Johnny Gargano, Austin Theory, Bronson Reed, Montez Ford. If I'm missing out anybody else, I'm sorry. They all brought in to deliver some good-ish going into it. And then Austin Theory retained because Logan Paul came in and stomped Seth Rollins. They're going to have a match at Mania. But you know what the real one is. We know what the real one is. The one we left off about, Sami Zayn, his hometown, Montreal, Quebec, Canada. did my best, Sammy, versus Roman Reigns, your reigning, defending, undisputed Universal Champion, WWE Universal Champion, in a very great 40-minute emotionally charged match that really just cemented Sammy as that babyface, that cemented him as a main eventer, that really was just beautiful. Because even though you knew, the thing about wrestling, it's like magic. You know it's fake, but there's got to be a moment where it gets you. And I didn't say fake. Magic's fake, unless you go down to Hialeah. Wrestling scripted. Always remember that distinguishment, boys. But you're like, we know Sammy can't win, right? We don't care if he's in his lovely town of Montreal, Quebec, Canada. But you get that energy, you get that crowd engagement, you get that focus, you get the proper beats in the storytelling. And I haven't watched it again. It's coming though. I'm gonna rewatch it for my own jollies. I'm trying to see if my rating.
You watched it twice, didn't you? That same night.
I watched it once,
okay.
and I was before the show, and then you postponed the show, and I was like, okay, well I'll watch it on a different day to get fully ready. But now I'll just have to do it for my leisure. So everything was hot. The crowd was hot for it. Sammy came out last, which is rare for a champ or challenger to come out last instead of the champion, right? Montreal was like, F you, Roman. They were cursing. I will not say those things because, Factor 75 has asked me to behave. And if you want your good nutrition to look like Roman Reigns, maybe you want to get that to get some healthy food into your body.
Meat slapping me on your kitchen table.
Yeah, meat slapping me on your kitchen table. But the match itself was just beautiful. Sammy's family was there. The drama was there. The emotion was there. The connection was there. There was a point where you almost thought, Roman was going to lose. At first, it wasn't really a competitive thing. He just plays that cockiness so well, that final boss mentality. And Sammy was just going to be like, you're going to have to kill me before I'm over with this. And then I'll get to the ending point. Of course, people had to interfere. Jimmy Uso came to interfere, and Sammy hit him with a kick outside, and then Sammy got speared, and he kicked out of the spear. That's huge. That's how you know you're a made man a little bit in the wrestling world, because not a lot of people who aren't the big stuff, the Brock Lesnar's, the John Cena's, the Drew McIntyre's, kick out to it. So that's the transitioning for Sammy to kind of get there. Because remember, he didn't really want to take the titles for a championship gain. He was just going to do it because he knows that's what Roman loves the most, and he was going to make him suffer. But he kicks out of the spear. And then it continues where effectively, if I remember correctly, Sammy gets the haluva kick. The ref's down. Sammy gets the haluva kick down. The crowd's just counting 1, 2, 3 for Sammy. They're believing it. We're knowing that Sammy actually had Roman dead to rights, and then more interference comes in. But I think the effect of using his family there helps out. There's a point where he throws Roman back in his ring. He goes to his wife and he goes and kisses her on the lips. Bro, how do you not get there? How do you not want to side with that? How are you going to be like Cody Rhodes over that sight and that scene? And she cheers for him, and then his dad's out there. It was just such a connection. And then, Sammy almost has him beat. And then Roman goes and gets the chair. He's going to interfere. He's going to hit him. And then who comes out? Jey Uso. And y'all know the story behind that. Don't worry. That WrestleMania match, when it comes, you're going to have me have a full monologue, Shakespearean style about it. But he comes in to prevent Roman from doing so. So Roman gives him the chair, says, you got to do it. And he gaslights Jey a little bit. And Jay's like, no, but Sammy goes in and hits Jey with a spear because Roman was out on time. And then I think he low blows Sammy, being Roman. Then he hits Sammy continuously with the chair. And then, comes a spear, and it's a 1, 2, 3. And then afterwards, they're going to beat him down. And Kevin Owens came out to save Sammy, but he says he wasn't doing it for Sammy. He was doing it for himself. And they're going to build back that friendship. And it was just beautiful. It was what wrestling is important to me when you have investments. I can watch the spots. I can appreciate the acrobatics or the physicalness of it. That's fine. I'm not that person who hates it. But if I have a connection for it and you made me blink and I missed a situation that I didn't want to, I didn't look at my phone, I didn't do anything, and I didn't want to turn away. I didn't want to be elsewhere.
It seemed like that South Park episode with the wrestling.
Yeah, exactly.
All
was
the
that
theater, watching it like it's a Shakespearean play.
Yeah, well then having all the family members there helped out too. But more importantly is the fact that for a minute you maybe take away from what I know the ending is. This is the best way I can explain it to you on a non-wrestling fan basis. If you've seen The Sixth Sense, you know the twist that Bruce Willis is dead. It's not a spoiler. The movie's been out for like 20-something years. But if you're so good, it gives you a moment to realize, to forget that Bruce Willis isn't dead, and you're captivated again as the first time. You feel that connection. You just suspend the disbelief of the knowing of what would happen. And that's what wrestling ought to be. That pay-per-view was fantastic. I think I gave it an A or a B+. Some people were trying to say the match would not have been as good if the crowd wasn't there, but I'm not going to segregate and separate a score and knock it down a notch because they couldn't it has to be looked at as just the moves in the ring. You've taken into consideration the crowd and the emotion and the reactions for it, right? You want to, you should, you ought to. The whole thing about the energy of the people, it's great. If you got into live sporting events, if everybody was just quiet, lightly clapping at today's or Lampa Phil Fest at Disney, whatever that Disney Cracker Jack Stadium is what I'll call it, because that's what Andrew calls it, so I'm going to call it that. Andrew would be invested, right? Andrew would be invested if everyone was yelling, cheering, putting their hands up, crying for the Rays and booing on the Yankees because they know who the good guys are and the bad guys are and everything in between. You feel a connection with the people. And isn't that what all sports and sports entertainment is? Connection? Are you more connected to the people around you or to the players? And sometimes it's a mixture of both. But man, it was just so good. And it's already my match of the year. And I might be callous in saying it, or I might be dumbstruck, love-struck by saying it, but it was what I needed to be because I had concerns, boys, that it was not going to be all up to snuff. And that was going to be the most disappointing thing. It was going on the date, getting a kiss, and realizing that he or she's got the bad breath, man. Nothing kills a want of a second date than the bad breath, boys. I'm just saying it right now. That's life. And I was afraid that Roman and Sammy were going to be the bad breaths. And you know what ended up being? A nice French kiss. It was good. I wanted it again. And then Andrew sent me the link, but it's a live event, it's a house show. So really it's just for the people who want to buy it to go see it, but it has nothing really to do on the storyline effect. But it left me satisfied, left me focused on where the entire bloodline story is going. Not just Roman getting dethroned by Cody, because you guys know how I feel about that. And that's the concern. You know, there was a part of me that was like, Hunter, you should have pulled a damn audible. But the concern that I have is, can you build this Cody momentum to actually maybe make me care that, you know, he should beat Roman, because it's not there yet. But the thing is, you have Sammy basically get, you know, cheated out of a victory in his own hometown, makes you feel like that I need somebody to at least beat this man that is Roman Reigns and end his, you know, long length of tyranny, Voldemort style, right? You got to do it. You got to do it that way. So I was satisfied. It's my match of the year. I'm sure there might be something that gives it, but when I connect on an emotional level, that's what matters more. And that's all I got for you this week on the cage.
Alrighty. Okay. So that's it for us, guys. You know, it was good. Good show. We had an actual, real, serious discussion about sports. Huh. Interesting.
In Orlando.
Yeah. An actual
and Factor 75.
Exactly. Go put in the code, click on our links, save yourself some money, eat yourself some good food. I think we're out, guys. Have a good night.
We love you, Sammy.